There is a tension that runs beneath the surface of modern life. It is not always loud. Often, it is a low, constant hum, a quiet, background anxiety. It is the feeling of a mind that is perpetually bracing itself, bracing for the next email, the next headline, the next social interaction, or simply the next moment, just in case that moment is not what was planned. It is the subtle but exhausting sense that no matter how much you organize, achieve, or secure, you are always living on a precipice. This is the mind that lives in the future, a future that, by its very nature, never arrives. Now, let us explore the profound wisdom found not in adding more, but in letting go. We are, as a culture, masters of control. From our earliest days, we are trained in the art of management. We are taught to manage our time, our emotions, our careers, our finances, and our futures. We are told that a good life is a secure life. And so, we begin the great project. We build fortresses against the unknown. We construct elaborate 5-year plans, stack savings accounts, and design rigid routines. We treat our lives as a problem to be solved, a chaos to be ordered. The fundamental belief, the one that operates so deep, we rarely question it, is this: if we can just think hard enough, plan meticulously enough, and control enough variables, we can construct a life of permanent safety. We can build a wall against the unpredictable, and behind that wall, we will finally be at peace. And yet, where has this project led us? It has led us to this precise state of low grade, constant anxiety. Here is the great paradox. Our desperate attempt to find permanent security is the very thing that creates our anxiety. Anxiety is not, as we are often told, a malfunction. It is not a chemical error or a psychological disease. It is the perfectly natural, logical, and inevitable consequence of a mind attempting to do the impossible. It is the friction generated when our desire for a fixed, permanent, eye grinds against the reality of a world that is fundamentally, beautifully, and inescapably fluid. We are like a person trying to build a rigid, unmoving tower out of flowing water. The effort is immense. The focus is total, and the result is, and always will be, failure and exhaustion. This exhaustion, this constant, wearying effort of trying to hold the river in our fists, that is what we call anxiety. Let us deconstruct this illusion. The problem begins with a case of mistaken identity. We have come to believe that we are the I, the conceptual self. This I is a collection of memories, plans, labels, and ideas. It is our name, our job title, our history, our ambitions. It is a concept, and a concept, by its nature, is static. A memory is fixed. A plan is abstract. This conceptual I, the ego, is the planner, the worrier, the strategist. It lives in the abstract world of yesterday and tomorrow. But there is another part of us. There is the living, breathing, sensing organism. This organism is not an idea, it is a reality, and it exists only and ever in this present moment. The I looks at the living, flowing, unpredictable reality of the present moment and sees only a threat. It sees a chaos that must be ordered. It sees a problem to be solved. It cannot feel secure because it cannot feel anything. It can only think about security, and so it launches its grand, impossible project to make life stand still, to nail down the future, to turn the fluid, musical process of reality into a solid, predictable, and dead object. This is the ordinary world of our journey. It is the internal state where we spend most of our lives. We are caught in a profound internal division. We are a living organism being dragged around by a conceptual I that is terrified of life itself. Consider the common experience of overthinking. The mind loops, analysis, projects. What if this happens? How can I prevent that? What if I fail? This mental machinery is not broken, it is merely misapplied. It is a problem-solving tool that, in the absence of an immediate, concrete problem, has turned on existence itself. It treats the unknown as the ultimate problem. But the unknown is not a problem. It is simply the nature of reality. The common approaches to this anxiety only dig us deeper into the trap. We are told to manage our anxiety. We are given new strategies for control, new techniques for positive thinking, new ways to optimize our plans. But this is just offering a more efficient shovel to the man who is digging his own hole. It is reinforcing the core delusion. It is empowering the very I that is the source of the conflict. It is telling the person clinging to the water tower to just cling harder. The pursuit of security is, in fact, the very thing that creates our deep feeling of insecurity. Why? Because the project is doomed from the start. Every time we lay a plan for tomorrow, we are reinforcing the idea that today is not safe. We are training our nervous system to live in a state of perpetual anticipation, a state of not yet. When we operate this way, we are no longer living. We are preparing to live. We are always on the threshold, always packing our bags, but never, ever beginning the journey. We are clinging to a mental abstraction of life, while the real, visceral, unpredictable, and glorious dance of existence passes us by right here, right now. This is the great cosmic joke. We are suffering because we are trying not to suffer. We are tense because we are trying to relax. And we are profoundly anxious because we are desperately, futilely trying to be secure. The fortress we have built to protect us from the insecurity of life has become our prison. And the only way out is not to build stronger walls, but to realize there are no walls at all. If the fortress is the prison, the only way out is an act of profound surrender. This is the trial of the journey. It is the moment the hero must confront the deepest, most cherished assumption of their life, the belief that I am in control, and that my control is what creates safety. This is the great encounter with the mentor's wisdom. And the wisdom is this: there is no branch to hold on to, there is no solid ground, and in that very fact lies our liberation. The core insight that shatters the old world is the realization that insecurity is not a problem to be solved. It is the fundamental, non-negotiable, and essential condition of life itself. Life is flux. Life is change. Life is the unknown unfolding. To demand security, to demand a fixed and predictable future, is to demand that life stop being life. It is to ask for a living death. We have been taught to fight this. The I, that conceptual self, the bundle of memories and plans, sees this flux as its mortal enemy. Because a concept cannot be in flux. A memory is fixed, a plan is static. And so this I tries to make the living, moving world conform to its own static nature. It tries to hold on to the flowing water of life. And the tighter it squeezes, the faster it loses it. This is our great struggle. We are at war with the very medium in which we exist. Let us use a powerful metaphor. Imagine you are in a flowing river, the mind of anxiety, the mind, trained to seek security, immediately looks for something to grab. It finds a branch hanging from the bank and clings to it. It holds on with all its might, fighting the current. The water, which is just flowing naturally, now feels like a violent, personal enemy. It pulls and tears at the body. The body becomes rigid, tense, and utterly exhausted. The mind is filled with the terror of letting go, because it equates letting go with drowning, with destruction, with the end of me. This is the state of chronic anxiety. It is the state of clinging to a fixed position in a moving world. Now, what is the alternative? The alternative is the great trial. It is the invitation to let go of the branch. At first, this is an act of pure terror. The mind screams that you will be lost, that you will be dashed against the rocks, that you will be annihilated. But a moment after you let go, something miraculous is discovered. You discover that you can swim. You discover that the water, which felt like an enemy, is in fact your support. You discover that by yielding to the current, by joining the flow, you can move with it. You are no longer fighting life. You are living it. In that moment, you are completely and totally insecure. You have no fixed position. You have no solid ground. You do not know what is around the next bend. And yet, you are perfectly, dynamically safe. You are free. You are alive. This is the wisdom of insecurity. It is the profound discovery that security is not a static position, not a fortress, not a branch to cling to. Security is a dynamic process. It is the skill of swimming. The mind, our conceptual I, cannot swim. It can only cling. This is why this wisdom is so deeply resisted. It requires a fundamental shift of identity. It asks us to stop identifying with the clinger, the bundle of thoughts, plans, and fears, and to start identifying with the awareness that is simply here, experiencing the flow. We are terrified of the future because we are trying to live there in our imagination. We are trying to solve problems that do not yet exist. But we cannot live in the future. We can only and ever live in this precise, fleeting, and eternal now. This is where we evoke the desire for this new state. What does it feel like to stop clinging? Consider the act of listening to music. When you listen to a symphony, what is the point? Is the goal of the music to reach the final chord? If that were true, the greatest symphonies would be a single, abrupt, final note. The fastest orchestra would be the best, but that is, of course, absurd. The point of the music is the unfolding of it, the movement from one note to the next. The entire experience is a process of notes that are born and die in every instant. You are not trying to hold on to the note that just passed. You are not anxiously anticipating the note that is to come. You are simply present for the transition, for the flow. Life, in its deepest sense, is a musical composition. The security-seeking mind, the anxious I, is the person who is trying to get to the end of the song. It is listening to the first movement, but thinking about the finale. It is here, but wanting to be there. As a result, it hears nothing. It misses the music. This is how we miss our lives. We are so busy trying to secure a future finale, a point of arrival where we will finally be safe, retired, or happy that we miss the music of the present moment. We treat this moment, the only one we ever have, as a mere stepping stone, something to be rushed through, a problem to be endured on the way to the real goal. And so, we arrive at the end of our lives, having never truly heard the song. The great trial of this journey is to stop this striving. It is to challenge the deep cultural hypnosis that tells us you must be in control. You cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. This is the difference between the anxious mind and the wise mind. The anxious mind is the navigator who is furious at the sea. He tries to nail his ship to the ocean floor. He curses the wind for not blowing in the direction of his plan. He lives in a state of constant, rigid opposition to the elements. The wise mind is the navigator who has faith in the water. This is not a blind, religious faith in a future outcome. It is a present, active faith in his own ability to respond to what is. He accepts the wind as it is, and the water as it is. His security lies not in a fixed plan, but in his dynamic responsiveness. He is in a relationship with the unknown, not at war with it. To adopt this perspective is to fundamentally reframe our world. Insecurity is no longer a word for fear. It becomes a word for freedom. Not knowing is no longer a state of deficit. It becomes a state of wonder. This is the desire we are awakening. The desire for what this feels like. It feels like the profound bodily relaxation of a nervous system that is no longer bracing itself. It is the end of the internal war. It is the cessation of the mind's impossible project. When you stop trying to be secure, you discover that you are. When you stop trying to grasp the future, you find that your hands are perfectly, wonderfully full of the present. The mentor's insight is simply this: stop fighting, let go of the branch. You will not drown. You will, for the time, begin to swim. You will discover that the river you thought was your enemy is, in fact, the source of all your life. This shift in perception is the final and most profound act of the journey. It is the return with the victory. We have let go of the branch. We are in the river. We have discovered, in that moment of surrender, that we are not drowning. We are, in fact, supported by the very flow we once resisted. But how do we live from this place? How does a mind that has only ever known clinging learn to swim? The victory is not a new, indestructible fortress. The victory is the realization that the fortress was never needed. The practical insight is not a new set of rules for controlling life. It is the practice of no longer trying to. This begins by fundamentally changing the relationship we have with our own thoughts. We are accustomed to identifying with our thoughts. We believe we are the worrier, the planner, the voice in the skull. This is the I that clings. The practice, then, is to gently and without aggression shift our identity. We stop being the thinker, and we become the awareness in which the thinking happens. This is not a suppression of thought. We do not fight the anxious mind. That is just another form of resistance, another way of clinging. Instead, we allow the thinking mind to do what it does, but we no longer give it the throne. We treat our anxious thoughts as we would treat the weather. We notice them. The mind is projecting into the future again. It is producing the what-if story. We see it, we acknowledge it, and we let it pass. We do not engage in an argument with a cloud. We do not try to fix a sound that enters the ear. In the same way, we stop trying to fix our anxious thoughts. We simply let them be, and in being left alone, they lose their power. They are no longer fueled by our resistance to them. When this shift begins to take root, the very meaning of insecurity is transformed. The word itself changes its emotional texture. It is no longer a synonym for danger or fear. It becomes a synonym for freedom and possibility. Think of it: to be perfectly secure is to be fixed, to be finished, to be locked in place. A life that is completely predictable, with no surprises and no unknowns, is a life that is sterile. It is a story whose ending is already written. It is a song that is only the final, held chord. But a life that is insecure is a life that is open. It is a blank page. It is a musical piece that is still being composed, still unfolding in ways that can delight and surprise. This is the freedom of the flow. The anxious security seeking mind wants to know the future. It wants a guarantee. The wise mind, the mind that swims, is content not to know. It is comfortable in the unknown because it has found a different kind of faith. This is not a faith in a positive outcome. It is not a blind belief that everything will be okay. It is a faith in our own capacity to meet life as it actually unfolds. It is a trust in the same profound intelligence that knows how to beat our heart, how to heal a cut, and how to move the tides. We do not try to digest our food. We allow it. The practice is to extend this same fundamental trust to our lives. So, we return to our ordinary world, to the emails, the deadlines, and the responsibilities, but we are not the same. We are no longer the rigid, terrified clinger on the riverbank. We are the swimmer. We still make plans. We still save for the future, but we do so with a light touch. We understand that a plan is only a proposal, an educated guess, not a contract with reality. We hold our goals, but we are no longer attached to them in a way that chokes the present moment. When anxiety arises, and it will, for it is a lifetime's habit, we no longer see it as an enemy to be defeated. We see it as a signal. It is the mind's old alarm, warning us that we have, once again, begun to cling. It is a gentle reminder, inviting us to let go, to unclench the mental fist, to come back to the breath, to the present moment, to the flow. This is the true resolution. The problem of anxiety is not solved, it is dissolved. We do not overcome insecurity. We transcend the need for security. We have discovered that the only true security lies in the absolute letting go. So as this journey concludes, let your attention settle. Feel the simple, vital, and ever-changing reality of this moment. You are not a separate I fighting against the world. You are the flow. There is nothing to hold on to. And in that, you find you are holding everything